Fake Ozempic and other off-brand weight loss drugs are prompting the World Health Organization to issue a global alert. Social media has been fueling the demand for cheaper alternatives, but medical professionals, like my next guest, have some concerns about safety. Dr. Timothy Quinn is a family physician and board-certified obesity specialist. Welcome back, as always. Thank you. How much cheaper are these alternative off-brand drugs?
You know, I've been seeing a lot of advertisements on television and on social media. And some of these advertisements have been listing prices around $300 a month, $150 a month. But the deal is, as a medical doctor, we write the medication if it's clinically indicated, and the patients will go to the pharmacy, and in a lot of cases, their insurance might not cover it. It might cost over $1,000, and a lot of people, they can't afford that.
No. So this is a big cost saving to get your hands on these type of drugs, but they're off-brand, they're alternative. What are the dangers and safety concerns, Dr. Quinn, around some of these options?
Right. You said cost savings, but we have to ask at what cost? Because if you purchase these brands online from one of these online pharmacies, there's no guarantee that the safety is there. If you get the medicine from the pharmacy as prescribed by your physician, what we in the medical community are advocating is the fact that the medical physician is going to screen you for the proper questions to ensure the highest level of safety. But a lot of people are going online and they're not getting asked these questions, or if they're asked these questions, they're evading the questions, not telling the truth, just so that they can get the medication. The problem is the safety. And as far as these online pharmacies, I actually spoke with representation from the Pharmacy Board of Mississippi, and they assured me that these individuals that choose to use these online pharmacies can call the pharmacy board of their state if they live in Mississippi or Texas, and the pharmacy board can advise the patient if that online pharmacy is registered with the state. And in order for a pharmacy to become registered with the state, that pharmacy has to go through some pretty strenuous evaluation as far as a massive checklist called USP 797. But that pharmacy also has to have a pharmacist registered with that online pharmacy that's a registered pharmacist in the state that the medicine is being distributed to as far as the people. That will increase the highest level of safety for people that choose online pharmacies.
Let me ask you this. So somebody who chooses the cheaper option from one of these online pharmacies, what are the risks in taking these drugs? What are possible side effects that people should be looking for that the drug may not be doing what it's intended for?
Well, what we have to worry about is what is actually being reported. A lot of people are getting these medicines incorrectly. They're not being screened. If the person has a history of pancreatitis, then that person is not a good candidate. If they have a history of gallbladder disease, because these conditions can be exacerbated. Some of these people are getting the medicine at the highest dose, not titrating with the lower doses for safety, following up with their medical provider because they're evading these questions. They're not answering the questions correctly. It's all about risk versus benefits. And a lot of these people, their risks are higher than the benefits. And some of these online pharmacies, it's been very well documented that they're not using the proper active ingredient. They're using alternatives because what's being told to me is probably cheaper for them. A lot of this is financially driven. So some of these online pharmacies, there are a lot of reports that they're probably cutting corners, giving people medicine that is not the safest option.
Is there a cheaper option on the horizon? Are the price for these drugs going to come down in the near future?
What's so encouraging to me and the rest of the medical community is the research by these pharmaceutical companies that are doing everything right. They're working with the FDA, they're doing research. The latest research has shown that with these medications, you have a 22% reduction in progression to chronic renal disease. As these findings are being discovered with this fact-based research, some of the insurance companies are now taking this into consideration, such as Medicare. There was a study about a year ago that showed that there's a decrease in reoccurrence of heart attacks and strokes of those that have had heart attacks and strokes. And now Medicare is paying for the medication if you have a patient that's had a heart attack or stroke.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.